this is the title of this episode talking about Robert Downey Jr. Is RDJ not coming back? So here's what has happened. So basically, Variety did a whole expose for Robert Downey Jr. Not just him, they did one for Cillian Murphy, Margot Robbie, which is ironic because Margot Robbie wasn't talked to be Sue Storm at a point. And obviously, the rumors that Killian's being wanted by Marvel to play Doctor Doom, which is funny. Plus, we get RDJ and Mark Ruffalo doing an interview together, which they both were actually good. I ended up watching them. Talking about RDJ, basically, this whole article and expose, this rollout, to me felt like they were trying to remove RDJ from the Iron Man role, it felt like. So Kevin Feige basically put out a statement saying that, they don't want to reverse, or that they don't want to ruin what happened in Endgame with Tony Stark's death. And basically the fact that, they built up to this moment, 11 years of them building up to the moment of Tony Stark dying, saying that they will not mess with that scenario. Keep that in your mind, Comic Guns, that scenario. And I mean, RDJ's interview, he kind of was just saying how, I am not Tony Stark, right? He was like, I am just an actor. Basically, for what it seems like, RDJ is making people think that he's not coming back. And from the comments that Kevin Feige made, a lot of fans feel like he's not coming back. And so that's kind of been the vibe for the past couple of days. Now, obviously, I have my own thoughts to that being said, because I believe everything that they said is facts. They are not going to bring back the Tony Stark from Endgame. They're not going to bring back the Tony Stark from our 616 MCU. Of course they're not going to ruin that, because the funny thing is that there's another actor who is back that said the same thing that Robert Downey Jr. was saying, and his name was Mr. Hugh Jackman himself. Hugh Jackman said those same things, that he's not coming back and that he's not going to ruin what happened in Logan, because I think Logan was a fantastic death for Wolverine. You and I love that film, by the way. But so the way that I feel, I'm going to be completely honest. If RDJ really doesn't come back, I will riot and I will be very upset and angry, because if you're doing a project like Secret Wars and you don't bring back RDJ, if he doesn't come back after the reboot, you're robbing fans, and that's just how I feel. Because he is the center of the MCU, and if you're really going to end the 616, you have to bring back Tony Stark like that. There's no other way around that. But I also do feel like at the same time that RDJ is lying, because we've heard Andrew Garfield lie. We've heard Hugh Jackman also talk out of his butt. I think that given the right circumstance, any of these actors will come back, because at the end of the day, money talks. And, I just don't think that it was in their plans to always keep Robert Downey Jr. benched. This version of Iron Man that we grew up with, maybe for sure. But to think that, RDJ and Chris Evans aren't back, and the rumor is that Chris Evans has already been signed, and there's basically proof that he's going to be in Deadpool 3, but we'll talk about that later on in the episode. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, look, yeah, that's how I feel. How do you feel about, the whole rollout that Variety has done with RDJ, basically, and Kevin Feige saying that they're not going to bring back that version of Iron Man?
I love that he said this. Yes, Hugh Jackman said it, and we don't really know if this is true or not. Actors have made similar comments in the past and then have done the exact opposite. However, my problem with the reason that I'm happy that Robert Downey Jr. said this is because I don't like fans being excited for a movie specifically because of a retro appearance or a cameo. I say it all the time. I have a big problem with, Marvel making movies and banking on ticket sales based on a retro appearance or cameo, rather than people being bought into the story leading into that movie or the story of that movie itself. It's a move that they keep doing and doing. It feels like a cheap gimmick, and I am over it. I also disagree with you, Stevie. I got to tell you, I really disagree with you very strongly. I hope that Robert Downey Jr. is not in Secret Wars. I think that would be a horrible move to put him in Secret Wars. Let Secret Wars stand on their own. Let them stand with this new cast and this new roster that they've built up. And it's either going to fail on its face because they didn't do a good job, or it's going to be amazing. But if Secret Wars has a big Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark moment, I think it's going to be a bit redundant after what they did in Endgame. And yes, it would cheapen what they did in Endgame. And I'm just over the cheap gimmick of them bringing back, old characters. I want them to make good movies, and I want us to have characters that we care about that are newer characters. And I'm not saying get rid of Tom Holland, Spider-Man. We're going to get into that too. But Tom Holland could be the leader of that movie. Captain America, Sam Wilson, Captain America could be a leader in that movie. There are plenty of characters that can. Obviously, Reed Richards. It should be a Reed Richards, Dr. Doom face-off. And I understand they have to make it a bit bigger than that because of the type of spectacle an Avengers movie needs to be. But I don't like, grabbing old characters. I feel like it's a cheap gimmick. And at the very least, Robert Downey Jr. saying this, whether people believe it or not, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do believe it. And, I just don't think we could rely on things like this. I think it's getting old.
So I personally do disagree. I agree and disagree with some of the stuff that they're saying, because I do agree with the fact that, that we shouldn't be going to see a movie just because we saw that RDJ is coming back. That shouldn't be the reason why we are only going to Secret Wars. But the thing that I think a lot of fans, and I think that you aren't seeing, is the fact that this is comics, bro. And in the comics, heroes come back all of the time, and so I don't see a problem with having and Viro. What's good? I don't really see the issue with having a big event like Secret Wars, and you bring back all of the legacy characters, and the legacy characters don't have to play the biggest part, but having them there in the story. And if this is a combination of everything that you built, all of the Marvel universes, why wouldn't you want to do that to honor it? So that's kind of where I disagree with you there.
If you put Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man in that movie, it is going to take away from Reed Richards. 100%. It's going to take away. You can't. Sometimes it's not the move to share spotlight. Sometimes, if you're selling one product and you put out a similar product at the same time, you diminish the impact of the first product. That's why, they don't, like sneakers, they don't necessarily put out the same models at the same time. Even if they have an update, they kind of save it for the next one. And I don't think that you're going to let Reed Richards shine in the way he needs to for Secret Wars to be a success in the way that it should be. If you have Iron Man in there, Steve Rogers, Captain America, I think that the movie really needs to be focused on new characters. And I think that the big face-off obviously needs to be, Reed Richards, Dr. Doom. And here's the other thing. Fantastic Four, say it comes out, it's a hit. They don't mess up Silver Surfer, but regardless, Fantastic Four is a hit. And whoever they do cast with Reed Richards does a great job, whether it's Pedro Pascal, which, I'm not into that casting, and Dr. Doom's Cillian Murphy, that could be an awesome movie on its own. Let it be awesome on its own. You don't need to bring back Iron Man. And I'm not against them bringing back Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man after that in some other form. I would prefer, and listen, Iron Man is my favorite character, okay, by far. But I would prefer to not see him again. I don't think it would serve the MCU in a positive way. It kind of just looks like at this point, it would make it look like they can't figure out anything since they killed off the best characters, so they're bringing back the best characters. It's a cheap look, it's a bad look, and it's just not the way forward.
So I do not agree, because I feel like you can write that you can write the characters to where they can take a back seat and someone like your Reed Richards can shine, just like in Spider-Man No Way Home, right? As much as people were excited that Toby and Andrew were there, when it came time for the ish to happen, they took a back seat, and Tom Holland took the attention when it was needed, which was in the end of the movie when he made the biggest sacrifice that any Spider-Man has ever made. So, you know,
but
I feel like
Tom Holland's Spider-Man never died. So, you know, bringing back RDJ's Iron Man would outshine them. And listen, I don't think that if they brought Robert Downey Jr. back as Iron Man and did Secret Wars, and Secret Wars is a good movie, I'm not saying they can't pull it off. I just don't think it's the right move. I'm sure they could write a great story and all that. Like, obviously, you know, these are some of the most talented writers on the face of the planet. But I just think it cheapens the effect. It's a cheap gimmick. And by the time that movie comes out, I think more people are going to be tired of the retro cameos appearances.
I disagree, bro. I disagree, bro, because because number one, they wouldn't bring back the characters from the last time that we've seen them. These would be different versions and different roles of the characters. So the fans are getting introduced to a different version of that character, which basically makes them play kind of sort of like multiple roles. Like if we got a Tony Stark Supreme Iron Man, I think fans will love that because it's a different take. If we got a Hydra Captain America, that's a different take on Captain America, something that we've never seen. Now, Black Widow, you heard what I said. Just keep Yelena. I think that's fine. And Deadpool is going to show us again how important nostalgic characters are. Nostalgic characters have a place in the universe. They were mishandled in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We can all say that nostalgic characters were mishandled, but in Spider-Man they were done right. And I believe that with the writing of Michael Waldron, and I believe that he's going to put all of these characters in the right places where they need to be. I feel that there's a place for them, and that best place is a movie like Deadpool 3. That place is a movie like Secret Wars, because we are in the multiversal saga. And in the multiversal saga, bro, everything is open, baby. We can have anybody that you want. And that is the whole point, bro. Because Kang, and look, and if you are building up Kang and Doctor Doom to be greater than Thanos, greater than all of the villains that we've seen comic cuts, you'll have to come at him with everything you got, because bro, you have to think about it this way, bro. The people that they had in Avengers Endgame to face off against Thanos, if the OGs aren't there with the group that we have now, they are not more powerful than the group that we've had before. You know, and because the power level matters as well. So, you know, we have to take that into consideration as well. And if Kang is the greatest villain of all time with Doctor Doom that we've ever seen on screen, you got to come at it with everything you've got. Definitely when this is going to be the culmination of all Marvel projects. I think that you're missing the fact of how special this can possibly be. Now, you and I both agree it has to be done right. But I do think that you are a little too scolded from the idea of OG characters because they were done wrong. But I believe that you can write them in a way to be done right and not make it look cheap and not make it look like it's like kind of a waste of space to the story.
If they were doing Secret Wars in 2023, or, you know, I would say different story. But by the time 2025 or 2026, whenever Secret Wars is slated to come out, ends up coming out, you know, I just think this move is going to be so cheap, and they've done it already. It feels like too much. They're going to continue doing it. And don't get me wrong, 2015 Secret Wars that this is based off, that brought back a lot of big characters. It brought back old man version of Logan. It brought back Spider-Man, Jane Foster Thor, Hank, Pym, and Janet, and Dr. Octopus. So it's not like how do I say this? It's not like a unheard of idea, but the MCU is struggling right now. Okay, the MCU is struggling, and it seems like they keep using the same trick, and it just feels cheap. And I get that they would be different versions of the characters, and that's probably the better way to do it. And I love Supreme version of Iron Man, but I just still don't think it's like the right move. And if they were to do it, I actually think Iron Man's the one character that they shouldn't do because he's the most popular character, and that makes it even look like a bigger cheap gimmick. And also, by the way, one more thing. I also think that what you said about Yelena Belova and Natasha Romanoff kind of highlights everything. Because if you don't care to see Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow anymore because you love a new character. And I think that if we did love new characters and we weren't really happy with new characters, people wouldn't be excited about as excited about seeing someone like Iron Man come back. And I think that that's a perfect example. You don't care about Natasha Romanoff coming back because you love Yelena Belova. And that's awesome. And that's what it should be. That, I think, is the ideal scenario. If people were happy with the MCU right now and things were going well, we wouldn't be talking about how exciting it is if Iron Man was coming back. People
Yes, we would be.
happy and
Yes, we would be. Yes,
Not,
we would be.
it
Because
wouldn't be
it's
as big of a
yes,
deal.
we would be. Because
No.
bro, because it's
Well,
Secret
then why
Wars
don't you
and
care
the
about Natasha
multiverse.
Romanoff anymore?
All right, number one. First off, you said that they brought back nostalgic characters twice. I mean, you said they keep bringing back. They've only brought them back twice. We've only seen them in Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home. It only failed once. Let's remember that, bro. It only fell once. All right. Number two, bro. No, number two.
Well, they're about to do it with Deadpool 3
number
in a
two,
big way.
And it's going to be $1 billion project, just like No Way Home. And and people out here
It's gonna wear
like,
the trick out more,
and
though.
people act like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness was a failure. The darn movie did almost $700 million. Come on, man. Let's be real.